In the words of the legendary Lou Gellerman, hello, dog fans, and welcome to the Sound the Siren podcast because everything matters, including, hey, we're back. And speaking of being back, Husky Hoops recruiting is back in a big way. I am your host, Hooligan7. I am joined tonight by JCap, Hood Husky, and the Darker Knight. We may be joined in process by DJ. How are you gentlemen doing this evening? It's been a while, but it's good to see you.
Hey,
We're back.
like we never left.
Got some ball to talk.
Back like we never left.
I'm ready, old enough that I've forgotten whose song that was. It's a good one, but I don't remember. All right. Of course, we are at Sound the Siren. We are on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Sound the Siren UW, and also at soundthesirenuw.substack.com. Please subscribe, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to our show. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. Please like this video, hit that subscribe button to get notified when we post new content. If you'd like to support Sound the Siren, you can do so at podcasters.spotify.com/pod/show/Sound the Siren pod UW/support. We are, of course, a proud member of the College Huddle. Please feel free to check out other College Huddle pods. There's some great other shows in our network and a great group as a whole. Without further ado, it's been a while, but who's got a beverage this evening? Hood, we'll go with you because I know you're putting us all to shame.
Never to shame, man. Don't play that game. I don't even got it. I don't even got a glass. That's how shameless I am. But I'm just sipping on some Coralejo. You know what I'm saying? Some tequila reposado right now. Straight out the bottle. That's how rough the week's been. Oh yeah, I got tomorrow off, so I'm locked in, twin.
Nice. And there's DJ, right on time. DJ, is it a White Claw night?
Yes, Sirski.
Wait, what's that?
We're doing beverages, so I had to ask: Is it a White Claw night?
No, just strictly water tonight.
That's
no
wise.
claws.
Darker Knight, how about you? Water?
Come on, man.
Essentia or
Old Faithful, man. High quality H2O, baby. That girl was fresh. She looking good too.
Hey, come on.
Spring's doing good things for her. JCap, how about you? We just saw a little smart water. Anything else?
I'm on that smart water tonight. That's it.
Yeah, and
I didn't have anything to drink. I didn't have time to go to the store before we recorded, so I'm just on the water.
Hood, I am joining you. It's not tequila, but I have a 2021 KB Dry Rosé that I'm just finishing up from this past weekend. There was about a glass left, so that's what I've got tonight, along with a little
come on,
filtered water here in the Hydro Flask. I did not prepare any stupid tweets, and I forgot to look at Husky Couture. But anybody have any stupid tweets or pieces of Husky Couture that they that need to be shouted out or brought shameful attention to, depending on whether it's a tweet or a piece of Husky clothing?
Some of the things that we haven't found for sale, like some of the apparel the team and the coaches have been wearing, has been pretty saucy. I like the one with I think it had all the logos on the front.
Yep, I was about to say that too. That was sweet.
That one was big fire. I was trying to see what that's hitting for. But yeah, I like that a lot. 1-800 hit my line. I need my line.
I will say I did see Darker Knight. He disappeared, but there was a white starter jacket that got posted at Husky Throwbacks that he indicated interest in, and I would say that was definitely an outstanding piece of Husky Couture. And we're back, hopefully resolving those brief technical difficulties, and just in time to talk about the aforementioned huge weekend change in Husky Hoops. Danny Sprinkle and staff are doing some serious work. Tina Langley and her staff doing some serious work. Let's briefly touch on the women's basketball side of things, which will be a little bit of a shorter conversation because there's not quite as much recruiting activity on that side because there doesn't need to be because there's more of the team actually returning. But picking up a couple of really big key transfers, center from transferring in from Michigan and Yulia Grabovskaya, and I would argue more importantly, 6-foot guard from USC, Avery Howell, a club teammate of Bryn McGoy's with Meta Hoops over in Idaho, coached by former Husky point guard Emily Florence. These are big additions. Obviously, the women's team is going to need to replace the production from Delea Daniels as she graduates and heads off likely into the WNBA. But certainly, Avery is going to bring a lot of size at the guard position. I see her kind of as a 2-3 ability. Certainly has the ability to attack the basket. Has a pure stroke with a 3-ball and real grit, which is not a surprise coming from the Meta Hoops program over there in Idaho and Eastern Washington. And then certainly, obviously, we replacing it, both with the departure of Daniels and Tyra Eke. Definitely some length needed in the front court with Grabovskaya. But really, the bigger newsmakers have absolutely been the men's basketball program with the additions of 2, smaller conference players of the year in Kumari Peterson out of ETSU, who was the SoCon player of the year, Jacob Ognasevic out of Lipscomb, who was the Atlantic Sun player of the year. Obviously, today's big news that Wesley Yates III is returning to Washington. Got a commitment from Heinz Steinbach out of Germany. But let's talk about what we've seen. Like I said, I kind of briefly gave my thoughts. If anybody else has seen, has had a chance to look at Avery Howell's highlights or Yulia's on the women's side, feel free to chime in, and then we can.
I really haven't seen too much of Yulia, but love, like you said about Avery's grit. Really love Avery's grit and the size, like you said as well. Will allow her to play some wing. Really love the way she attacks the basket alongside her shot as well, and now kind of gets to has the potential to be featured. Instead of her situation at USC where that was probably never going to happen. So I think that's a cool little cultural element as well as being with her club teammate as well. And then one thing about just kind of the men's side is the talent and the names are there, the film's there, but the size, like just monitoring the sheer size of some of these guys, man. The incoming freshmen, some of the big incoming freshmen, and the big incoming transfers. They're 6'8", 6'9", 6'11", and they're in abundance. So where we lacked in size last year and skill, we definitely are made up for that for sure. So that's one thing I like. The guards that we acquired are kind of on the shorter side. Wesley's a kind of a big guard, but so I'm kind of curious to see how that'll work out. So I want to see if they can kind of get a decent sized wing player as well. But yeah, it's looking real good so far.
Yeah, they need to bring another wing for sure. But I mean, damn, Sprinkle's trying to prove us wrong, Hood. Like these guys he's bringing in, they're nice and they're not cheap. They're paying them money for sure. So somebody's out there paying them money. A lot of us know he is.
But I was told that UW Athletics couldn't compete in the in an NIL era. I was told that the money in Seattle wasn't going to impact UW at all.
Yep. Hide the money, y'all. There's poor folks around, as they say in the Chappelle Show. It's not us for basketball. But no. So looking at the players, naming Yates, that's a huge get. I think in the transfer portal, I saw a couple days ago he was rated 40th or something. That's crazy. He's a top 20 transfer. He averaged 18 points a game the last, I don't know, basically in Big Ten play. last 20 games or so. He kind of came on at the end really strong, and he's a hooper. Like he has the potential to play 1 year and go to the NBA. He's that good.
Yeah, and a former 5-star recruit.
Yeah.
Yes, he's absolutely got NBA potential, but he does still have 3 years of, like Avery Howell has 3 years of eligibility left.
Exactly.
And to quote Marcus Peters particularly on the, actually I'll say it for both basketball programs. I think we ain't done yet.
Yeah. And I really like the guard, the little guard. Let's say little, but Peterson. How do you say Kamari Peterson?
He can hoop.
Dude, he can hoop. I did not know about him. Like I'm being honest. Like I like hoops. I like playing. I did not know about this dude, and yeah, he's nice. And so I'm excited to see him play. I mean, he's not a true point guard, but I mean, nowadays you don't always necessarily need that for basketball. It is good to have that, and so
I agree with that.
We don't have like
I think JJ might be able to help there, but I think having
he can do it some.
I think having Zoom and Peterson, just that demeanor, just as the starting guards, if they end up being the starting guards, like I feel like their demeanor and their physicality and the way they get their buckets can kind of lean on teams and lean on defenses, especially in the half court. I think those two combined are easy in transition. Like I think that should be the money finishes in transition. But I think where they're both kind of like make their hay this year and kind of where we'll take that next step is in the half court, having those two kind of running the show.
For sure. And the bigs, all the bigs that we got, which we actually have more than two for once, they're all different for the most part. The transfer, Troy. I can't pronounce the last name, but he's tall, lanky, but throw some lobs to him. He can even shoot a little bit. And then you obviously got Frank, who's just forced down low with rebounds and blocking shots and playing defense. And then the freshman coming in and the German kid, like they all do things a little bit different. So they're versatile too, most of them for the most part. So I'm excited to have a few bigs, except for
the team at this
last
point
year we had
full of more bigs
1.5. I don't know.
It is guards at this point now, and that's the biggest note I had here was versatile big men. So like nail on head, they all do different things for the most part.
Yeah, there's a couple of big time wings that they're after that could go to the NBA or could go to a big blue blood or maybe UW. So watch out for that. There's a couple of guys they're going after.
Yeah, and it also speaks like when you construct a roster that way, it also not only gives you more versatile players, but it also allows you to somewhat adapt to the style of the team, and counterattack the team you're playing against. If you want to go, if you've got bigs that are, big and physical and, grind it out half court game, fine. Or if you want, going up against an up-tempo team, or if you want to push the tempo on somebody, you can do that too.
Yep, exactly. And then I'll say one more thing. The last three guys that committed to us that you named already, the two that are conference players of the year, and Wesley Yates. What's one thing they all have in common? They all shot over 40% from three this last year. So bringing in shooters.
Is that allowed?
Not usually for us.
Can we have more than two big men too, right?
Yeah. Oh, we did, of course, we forgot to mention. Yeah, Rutgers transfer Lathan Somerville was the name that I didn't mention. But certainly shot 86% from the free throw line.
And that's unheard of for us, even for a guard.
260, 265, something like that. So he's like one of the bigger, burlier ones. So he can lean on guys too, for sure.
And
I mean, then what I got
6'11",
Bundalo 6'10", Steinbach 6'9", was it Oknasevich 6'8", Somerville 6'10", Troy 6'11". Like the size is there's more big dudes on the team than there are guards at this point now.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing
gonna be
wrong
nice.
with that. Anything else to say about basketball, or should we? I do briefly want to, shout out a couple of the spring sports, but in particular softball, in what could have been a very interesting year based on the complete roster upheaval. Shout out to UW softball. They're killing it. They're doing a great job. I would say that they're probably a pretty comfortable bet to at least make the tournament, which is something we expected of them. And Alexis DeBoer is over halfway to the school home run record in a single season, and she's a freshman. So, shout out Coach Tar for the job you and your staff are doing. Shouts out to the team. We see it, and keep it going, ladies. But let's talk some football. Hood, we'll start with you since you've been able to attend a practice. Would love to get your impressions, what stood out to you at that practice, and then we'll kind of dig into the the position battles we're watching, the things that we're keying in on, hoping to learn from this spring. As we get to the spring
I
game
think the main thing is just size. Two things would be size, and then like how many bodies are out there. I forgot how many offensive line we had last year, but it was under 10, right? It was like 7 that we had available. And now I think there's 3+ offensive line units in just the spring. They're able to split the field and have multiple teams going. So people that left last year because they couldn't get reps, now we're kind of getting those reps. I think the offensive line size stood out. I think the defensive line size stood out. I think Peppa's first practice was the practice I was at, and him alongside Thompson and Terrell Thompson. He was definitely flashing for sure. Not only just his strength, but his quickness. I'm not sure if the offensive line was going 100%, but he found himself oftentimes in the backfield. So I feel like he's going to have a big impact on the season this year. He's much bigger as well. I don't remember exactly how much more weight he put on, about 15 or 20 pounds, but he looks the part. So he's like a get off the bus kind of guy in regards to like the way he's built. So I'd say primary takeaways, man, just the amount of bodies there are, the size like of even the freshmen. And I'll say, the size. And then I'll say the third thing would be the amount of freshmen that we have out there competing that competed in the winter and now are competing in the spring. There was a lot of young guys out there, especially at wide receiver, getting quality run. So that was really cool to see as well. So these guys going into the spring and then the fall are going to have a ton of reps, a ton of experience to actually be counted on during the season. So I expect to see some of these freshmen utilized, especially 2 of them on the offensive line.
Yeah, that being John Mills and Champtel Lealea from what we've heard. Certainly, and I think it was Roman and Lars over on the Lockdown Huskies podcast that called out that the majority of of the freshman class is already here. I think there's like a handful, maybe 7, 8 guys that aren't on campus yet. So that's certainly great to see. Certainly, you go from last spring where you had 7 or 8 offensive linemen that you could put through reps to 18. That's going to make a huge difference. I'll go ahead and jump in and talk about some of the things that I'm looking forward, or the things that I'm looking to hear, and the things that I'm going to be looking for as we get to the spring game. Obviously, the body transformations that we've seen, year 1 to year 2. I know Jonah Coleman's lost weight. One of the ones that stands out is Jordan Washington. Definitely a speed back, not a power back like Jonah Coleman or Adam Muhammad, but he's put on 20 pounds. He needed to, but that's a player that could be a huge X factor for the Huskies going into next year in terms, because he does give you something different at the tailback position. Certainly what's going to happen at receiver. You lose Giles, you lose Jeremiah Hunter. Does Amari Evans step right in? And certainly the reports kind of, I guess, a couple of deep passes the first or second practice. What happens there? What happens the offensive line? And then, of course, the solidification of that D line and the Ryan Walters system are the things that I'm really looking at. DJ, Darker Knight, JCap, things you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I might have said it here on the pod before, but I definitely said it to people in our group chats. Like, I'm kind of excited about our D line. We don't have a superstar type player, at least not right now. Probably not. I mean, hopefully somebody surprises us, but we just have a lot of depth, I feel like, and I don't think people expect to see much out of our D line. I mean, most casual fans, I would say, and so I think they might surprise a lot of people because, for once, just like we're talking about with big man basketball, for once I feel like since a few years, we have a bunch of bodies that can play. We can rotate a lot of guys at D line, and so I haven't been doing any practices. I've read some scouting reports and summaries and listened to some of the Locked On Huskies podcast, and so yeah, that's the group that I'm excited for. I mean, it's cool hearing all these freshmen that are out there. And when you're saying a lot of these freshmen, are you talking about ones that like
No,
freshmen
I'm
this
talking
last year,
about
so
true
they'll be
freshmen.
sophomores
So
or redshirt
kids that
freshmen this next year? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, like a significant
Like true
amount, bro.
freshmen, so a lot
Like
of the kids that came
winter,
enrolled
I don't have a
early.
list in front of me. Winter was I think like 9, and then I think spring, bro. There's double digits. Like yeah, so a lot of the people.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's only there's like
So like half of
7
them
or 8
probably at least,
left
huh?
to be here in the fall. So like summer or fall or something like that. So the majority are already on campus competing for spots. So that's wild.
And so you're thinking that there's two, or you guys are saying there's two freshmen O line
Absolutely,
that could
I think
compete for
Champ
some
and John.
playing time. You think there's a
I
chance?
think to be honest, I'm
Is
not
that a
going to
good or
say
bad
that
sign?
I think that they start. But what I will say is I think that they are good enough to see with the first team.
Yeah.
They're good enough for the staff to put them and trust them with the first team to see if/when X gets hurt, Y gets injured, are they good enough to be? And I think it's a quick yes, go in. It's a decision with confidence. Not like not skepticism.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I just checked the roster. It's 9 guys that we're waiting on, but yeah, there's a ton of guys out there already getting run. So
nice. And then yeah. Oh, okay.
yeah, between Raiden, Marcus, and Chris.
True. Man,
that's
we're
what
young
I'm looking
there.
forward to for sure. For me, it's the receiver position. Just just those 3 or 4 studs that we're really raving about in the offseason. Looking forward to them stepping on campus, actually seeing what they do. Not only in these short practices, but the spring game, how they develop. Who's the quickest to get that rapport with Devon, someone he can rely on, someone Jed can highlight as well, and utilize. They all have different strengths, so who's going to be the first one to really like pop out of the group? Because I think all will see playing time this year. And then next, I'd probably say the DBs. Just been hearing how versatile not only the system is, but how versatile the defensive back group as a whole are. With their length, they just have all different characteristics. But the way the way Walter's using them, it just seems like they're really shining, and they're ahead of the offense right now. So seeing if they're able to develop even further, if they come back a little bit, if the offense is able to take another step. So looking forward to those battles as well, especially at safety. And then really want to see Damon. Want to see Damon take that next step. I know there's going to be some growing pains with new receivers. Now you don't have your number one guy, so you're having to trust other guys, which I think is going to help us out in the long run, and also speed up the development of a Rasheed Williams and those guys, and force those freshmen to step up. And then you guys hit on the O line. It won't take much to be better than we were last year, giving up the amount of sacks we did. But all reports I'm hearing how big and strong and anchoring they're looking, especially with the veteran depth they have now and some talented freshmen. I think we're going to be solid. And then we're doing all this. you're seeing and hearing all these noises about the defensive line, and you haven't seen Zach Durfee on the field, who has the potential to be the best defensive player on their team. If he's able to get healthy, and see what these
Parker.
linebackers. Yeah, I mean, you have a myriad of guys you could throw out there in waves, when healthy. So it could be scary. It could be scary in a good way. And then lastly, just I want to see what the linebackers look like. I'm hearing the different body types and different abilities, more rangier type of guys. You have our thumpers as well. So you have a nice balance where I think last year, you could rely on Carson to kind of be your sideline to sideline guy, but now I think you legit have 2 or 3 guys who can do that. So seeing how they settle in and how they fit and feel.
Yeah, you kind of hit on those 2 positions that I was going to mention too, safety and linebacker specifically. Bringing in Alex McLaughlin and CJ Christian at safety, and then also the new linebackers in Buda. I know Manu's going to be out with an injury, but then Extree Alexander, and then the young guys, Epperson specifically, seeing what he's going to look like. But safety, it's interesting. I was just going through the roster too. It's like we've got a good amount of age and experience in that room with McLaughlin and Christian, like I mentioned. But then, you also got McKell. They list a bunch of guys at safety on the roster between McKell, Dyson, Vince Holmes, Rashawn Clark. I've been hearing is playing out of his mind in spring ball early. And then you got Raheem Wright, who we didn't get to see last year with some injury stuff, and then Rylan. So there's a ton of guys out there that I'm interested to see how that room shakes out, especially because that's a room that I think could really heavily influence the way that our defense plays overall.
I think is
this next
probably
season.
the most impressive room on the team. I think the safety room. I think you can go 4, 5, maybe even was it Minky? I think you can. I think you could even go down to Batman. You know what I mean, and be confident in what the product's gonna be. That room has a lot. It's on campus,
and that's before Donovan Robinson
that
gets
room
on
looks nice.
campus.
I'll say, and Dylan Robinson. I'll say in regards to concerns, I think Ife's out. He was doing warm ups and stuff, but I think he's out from team drills and stuff. So they had Caleb out there who competed very, very well. I love the way he was going back and forth with Amari Evans in regards to the way he was chirping, his confidence. He had, I think, a couple PBUs on Justice Williams. But getting the cornerback room up to speed and getting those reps, I think, is extremely valuable right now. Because I think that is one area that is potentially thin, and I mean genuine corner. Outside of your top 2, Takario also, in my opinion, looked really, really good. And then continuing the theme of positions that I would like to see a little bit more of. With attrition happening is edge as well. I feel like I think that's a little top heavy right now, and I don't know how much we can expect to see Durfee. I don't know how much we can expect to see Russell Davis. So I have to kind of bank on what's available now, and then what has shown me to be available. And I think that's a position that could definitely use maybe a little bit more juice. I think Ty is really, really good there as well. Extremely versatile, but he's being asked to do so much. So I don't know if there's that specialty thing there either. So I think those 2 positions I would like to see a little some development happen there for sure.
Yeah, you guys were talking about safeties and how it's a strong position group. What's your guys' predictions on the 2 deeps?
I think
there,
shoot
starters
in.
and
I think McHale is probably shooting,
string.
And then I would say probably CJ, just off the strength of experience, and he's a solid tackler. And McHale kind of has the experience of kind of being that rangy guy too, even though this staff has kind of transitioned him into more of a bigger kind of reliable kind of box guy. robber type guy. I still think he has that range. So I'll say those two. Um, um, who immediately backs up McHale, I'll say, is Vince. I think Vince is going to get a ton of run. I honestly think he probably has the highest ceiling at safety in the room. So I think he's going to be first in, or they run like a lot of 3 safety type looks and things like that, where he's on the field regardless. And then after that is Alex McLaughlin, in my opinion. I think those are the 4 that are going to consistently rotate. They were when I was there, they did a lot. They were doing pursuit angle drills. From single high as well as a box guy. Locking in on pursuit angles, and they had everybody rotating at every spot. So that's how you know that they're just going to have everybody kind of versatile in Ryan Walter's system.
Hood at practice, I've been hearing a lot about CJ Christian, just his versatility and kind of how they were using him and how he was kind of thriving as a box safety. Did you see anything that kind of stood out to you about him at practice? And then what about McLaughlin? Thinks he won't be a starter? Potentially, is it just guys above him that you think are just kind of better, or that are flashing more? Do you think just he just coming to UW is
That's a
just a
good
different
question.
level?
I think the McLaughlin thing. I think it just comes down to experience, really. And I think CJ has a ton of experience in high production, specifically with tackles. And I think from that back end, the versatility that's going to be asked from the safeties, I think tackling is very important. And that's not saying McLaughlin can't, but I just think CJ, that's like his proven expertise on film. And I think Mikhail's experience and then command of the defense, just being a cerebral player, and then just, like I said, his experience, I think that's going to just kind of have Alex be maybe the 3rd or 4th option. But I think in Ryan Walter's kind of safety-centric system, that doesn't mean much. You know what I mean? I think he gets equal, rotation with Vince Holmes and with the others. And then I will say, to your first question, there were 2 people on the field that seemed like they were practicing at a comfort and a speed different than everybody else, and I feel like it was an experience thing. Well, I guess I can add McHale to that too, but CJ Christian and Amari Evans, those 2 just kind of seemed like they knew how to practice. They knew how to drill right. They didn't seem like there was a ton of effort, and both were as tired as everybody. But their body language just seemed like it was like they knew what the level it took. So I would say that was just kind of the aura of those 2, and that's why I think CJ is going to play a lot. It's just because it just seems like he's a pro. So.
Okay.
Almost like that's a mantra for
I think,
this
I mean,
program.
obviously the person I would say stood out and has kind of stood out that everybody's talking about is Rashawn Clark. I would say he's from what I saw and have seen, it's not really from the safety position. It's been from the slot as well as from the outside. So the fact that he's able to make plays all over the field like that is highly impressive, especially at his size. So it's hard pressed for me to see him not being a part of that starting rotation too. So you would have Davis, Prysock, though, Clark in there, and then your rotation of 4 safeties, man. That's anyway. I don't believe he
Still ain't seen Leroy
was
Bryant either.
participating. I saw him warming up, and I think I might have saw him doing drills, but I don't think I saw him doing 1v1s. I saw a lot of Elias Johnson, who I really like his. He's a little frail, but he seems like. Yeah, he seems like that kind of Zachary Spears or that Elijah Jackson, kind of that like thin, wiry guy who's a technician. I really like that about him. So yeah, there's a lot of fun DB stuff going out there. I like the talking. I like a lot of the talking. Yeah. So.
I mean, I also think that, like, in some ways, I think that for most of the defense in particular, I think the term starter isn't actually going to necessarily mean all that much, and I think that you're probably going to see a lot of different personnel packages that they're going to lean heavily on depending on who the opponent is and the style of play. We saw that last year with Belichick. I think we're going to see that again with Walters, where what the defense looks like and who's getting the heavy snap counts is going to look very different, when they play Ohio State versus when, they play a more of a plodding Big Ten team. I know we don't have Iowa on the schedule this year, but it's really going to adapt to the opponent, not just, hey, we're going to throw out the same 11 guys and see what happens in a traditional 4-3.
I would say also too, I'm hyper curious about. So you guys mentioned the linebacker room. I'm hyper curious how they rotate guys there, but how they use Devin Bryant. I think the two most impressive plays I saw were I think it was Devin Bryant running down Kevin Green, sideline to sideline. You know what I mean? And I was looking at the number, like, who was moving like that? And then when I saw it was 17, I was like, oh, hell no, he was moving like that. So that was highly impressive. And then Alex McLaughlin also made a play where I believe he had to come from, he was a box safety, but he had to make a one-on-one tackle on a tight end and did that successfully. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of fun. Kate Eldridge, somebody else that kind of looked pretty solid. So
yeah, I was gonna say I'm curious about the tight end group. Quentin's obviously coming in as tight end 1, and then I would assume it's Decker, but then to see kind of who else from that room kind of steps up and makes some plays.
Was there anyone else who played last year, Hood, that stood out, from a body transformation, like, kind of standpoint? That you were like, oh, you look like a different player from last year? Or,
the lineman, the offense, Hilma? What's his name? Yeah. He big, bro.
He'll come up. Justin.
Moose.
Pocky is like a wide kid. Like now, like Pocky's big. I will also say like Hayden Moore. He oddly like seems to have a bigger role. He seems like his body's transformed a lot too. I saw him on the edge a lot, or edge. Same with Epperson. I saw Epperson lined up on the edge as well, so that was kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. I saw some 5 down fronts with like 4-2-5 personnel. So I was like, so I was like, okay,
that's his yeah. That's one of his
interesting how you have these guys.
You got guys dropping.
It was
in the
weird. It was kind of interesting to see. I don't know if the edges are going to be called to be in coverage a lot. So like I think it's probably obvious to see who's going to be dropping where. So I'm curious how he disguises that. But yeah, the front's a little interesting. Hopefully it's not too predictable, but yeah, it's interesting.
It's like an overloaded 3-4 essentially. You're not going to have true edges. You're just going to have bigger, more athletic.
They're going to let their line fly
in playing those type of roles, like more in the yeah, like our defensive linemen got to live in the C gaps, and then you kind of let your linebackers flow to flats and kind of either show pressure or you're going to constantly send forward, if not more. But with the scheme, you don't know where that fourth guy's coming from. You got to have versatile linebackers. That's why ZRS is like a perfect fit for this type of system, where he's versatile. He can look like he's coming off the edge. He can be in the middle on certain defenses, things of that nature. I mean, Donovan, guys like that. So I think it's a marriage made in heaven, really, with this scheme. So just curious to see who steps up and what that first 11 is going to look like.
Man, I wish ZRS was healthy that he can play the season. I mean, maybe he might play a couple games in the year, but
like,
I'm guessing
like
I'm gonna be cautious with him
seeing how
being
big
a freshman and stuff.
Dog, like, what kind of like high school senior is that? Like, I'm sorry, like, that kid is huge. He was doing like the workouts with the people who were injured and stuff, and his position mate Jacob Manu was like to his shoulder. Like it was crazy. He is a big kid, a very big kid, and his injury is unfortunate because that he'd be playing. It don't matter where he'd be on the field. He is a
Yeah. Yeah, they'll get him out there. I know. Is Coleman still looking like RB1 out there?
No,
or
I would say that's obviously like
making
super
a push
locked up.
or what?
I think Jonah's kind of one of those ones that's kind of just practicing like a pro. Like whenever he has like things that maybe pass protection or receiving plays, he takes a little bit more serious, a little more attention to detail because that's where he's working on. You know what I mean? But there was another thing where it was a kind of pro. He just kind of going about his business. Jordan Washington, he looks quick.
Speaking of bodies,
honestly looks like he don't really need to. Like you could see the difference last year when he like needed to burst. He kind of has a steady speed about him now, where like that burst is even more valuable. I mean that you know what I mean. So there's almost a steady speed where he doesn't need that burst to kind of get around people. He's moving pretty quick. Sure, his vision is his.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he's fresh right now too.
Yeah, his belly a little smaller.
Oh yeah.
So it sounds like
a little small.
His belly's a little small.
Yeah.
Jordan Washington put on good weight. I mean, is his speed just different in person, Tay?
On his long little 60-yard touchdown, I can't remember who it was, but I kind of felt like the safety was gonna get the angle for a minute, and then he kind of hit a burst. So I was like, okay, the long speed, maybe some of these Big Ten safeties might catch the angle, but his initial like skirt is. Yeah, that boy could take off. He can get from 0 to 60 pretty quick. So, and he's got good running back vision. So it's not just a scat kind of like I need to be in space guy. He was kind of darting between the tackles. So I appreciate his ability there.
Yeah, I think it's that particular room is going to be really, really interesting, and I mean, obviously, hey, running backs are important. Oh, really? That's a brilliant, never before heard of statement in college football. But what Washington has at that position, if you can keep those guys healthy, I mean, we talked a little bit about it last year, where we didn't necessarily really have the speed guy. But you think situationally and particularly in Big Ten play where it's a, grind, a lot of grind them out, pound and pound and pound and pound and pound. And like, I mean, it was what Iowa did to us with Caleb Johnson. But this year, if you've got a healthy Jonah Coleman, if you have a healthy Adam Muhammad, just beating on defenses for 3 quarters, and then it's like, okay, go chase Jordan Watt. Okay. You
230 pounds just beating on you for 4 quarters is that's gotta be
now
I was waiting to see how long you were going to keep going.
Oh, he was going.
He did a good job.
Just watching this all kind of break down slowly.
Minutes.
I agree, though.
Boy, hey. I agree, though.
This is gonna be a heavy pass off.
I quit.
This is just the episode just paused the whole thing. I feel like
Yep.
Going back to what was it, season 1 or season 2 of the the podcast of pounding the hole hard.
Oh God.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy. Richard Newton.
Dick pounds the hole. Jesus Christ.
What a time to be alive.
But the matchup advantage is what I was getting at, and I mean it was the Marshawn Lynch effect for the Seahawks, just wearing down a defense over the course of 60 minutes, and particularly we
I
didn't
think
have
the
it with the
personnel
offensive line
shapes up
last
to
year,
be
and
far more
now we
pass
do.
heavy. Like if you want to rely on Jonah, sure, being healthy and stuff like that, at some point he's gonna get nicked up. Okay, throw Adam in there. We haven't seen Adam, be the bell cow. You know what I mean? So you're kind of like banking on potential there. And then Jordan, I wouldn't say is an every down kind of guy. So I think if you lose a guy like Jonah, what type of identity do you have? You got 8 receivers, you got a Heisman potential quarterback, and you got an offensive line that's big as heck, tough to get around. It just feels like the identity is going to lean heavy pass. And kind of seeing Amari Evans and how much like rapport Damon kind of already has with him. Yeah. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Yeah, one other thing I was interested to see was we talk a lot about the struggles of the offensive line last year and the new guys that are coming in, but also just seeing some guys that went from year one in this system to year two. Want to see the development and growth of guys like Azzopardi, and Max McCree, because there's going to be some battles at tackle. Because I mean, I can pretty much pencil in Carver Willis at one tackle, whether it's left or right, and then the other one is kind of up for grabs, I feel like, at this point. So seeing that position battle over the next couple of weeks into the spring game and fall camp, really interested to see who ends up as the opposite tackle
I
to
completely
Carver.
agree there. I think that's a position where having that one spot locked up and then a bunch of people on the other side that have a decent amount of eligibility left, I think you might see some attrition there for sure.
Yeah, that's the other thing that we haven't really talked about yet is just the fact that Jed has doubled down at every turn, saying that he's going to keep it at 85 scholarships, and we're going to have to cut some guys. There's going to be some roster churning over the next 2 weeks because the portal opens on the 15th. And they'll have to the 25th to enter, and that's even before the spring game. So I feel like we could see a bunch of guys enter and then have a spring game and decide not to actually leave. But we're going to see a lot of names get into the portal over the next couple of weeks.
What's the reasoning that he wouldn't increase it other than
it's for revenue sharing. He keeps saying, just to maximize the amount that they can give to their scholarship players. If you keep it at 85,
we're
then
at
you can max the revenue share.
77 or 78, and if we're adding 9 in the fall,
Yeah, it's gonna.
Without naming actual players, but what position groups are you guys thinking that
corner, tackle, guard,
gonna have to, let some guys go or whatever?
I wouldn't say as many guards as we might think. I think a lot of those guys kind of see a future in the program. There's at least a direction, I would say. For everybody that's interior lineman, and I think the guys that these guys recruited as tackles, I think there's a direction for them there too. But I think, some guys that these guys didn't recruit on the interior and at tackle, whether they could start here or not, I think they're going to choose their guys. I think that's kind of been their trend a little bit here. So I think there's some guys that were from the previous regime that you can see are the first ones in right now for injured guys or this, that, and the other. So I think if you look at corner and guard, guys that you're hearing about that may not be from these guys' recruiting classes, I think could easily,
You said receiver. Didn't we already lose?
Robinson and
Robinson didn't we lose 2 guys? Robinson,
Keith
yeah. Is there one more?
Yeah. So,
Reynolds?
Yeah, Keith.
Is that what you said?
Mhm.
There's so much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about
Okay.
from receiver room.
So even
but,
another
I mean,
one or two,
and I'm not
probably
trying
you're
to say
saying
names, but
to
there's
expect.
people
I was
that are getting primary
Oh.
tick right now for people that are out
Yeah.
that are from the previous regime, and I think they're like the first ones to go. I think there's some on the offensive line playing guard and center, and then I think there's a corner or two. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying receiver because there's so many bodies in that, so many quality bodies in that room, and guys like I don't want like anyone from that room to go. I'm a big fan of every single guy we have in that room right now.
I agree with that.
I was just saying that there's only so many footballs to go around.
Yeah. I mean, that position is the one we recruited really well the last several years too. So that makes it hard.
You lose Evans
pushing
and
guys
Boston
out
most
when
likely this
they're all
year.
pretty
So
talented. So that makes sense.
and you're in a Redfish offense with Damon running quarterback. So I think they have a lot of reason to stay there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you're a freshman, maybe even sophomore, like why wouldn't you just wait it out one more year?
I want to say the names that I'm thinking.
It's a different era now.
Pretty
so
bad, but... Yep.
You can say it. You can say it in the post show.
Yeah.
You can message me because I want to hear him.
I mean, the Australian punter's already gone, so
There you go.
There's one less.
Yeah, who's our punter? What the hell?
Troy Petts.
Who the hell are those guys? I don't even know.
Troy Petts is a walk-on that is dating one Alexis DeBoer, from what I hear.
Is that public?
Oh, okay. Damn. All right.
What's up?
That's what has been on Husky Twitter for
I was trying to make sure that wasn't JCap dropping a da bomb.
No. No, the other one I was curious about is who's primary quarterback 2 between Kai and Shea and 2 freshmen. I think 5 guys is probably one too many to want to roster, so I probably see one of Shea or Kai leave, but I wouldn't think that it would be Kai. He just came in, but I mean, you never know. In transfer portal era college football, we've seen it happen a lot of times. Guys come in for spring and leave, but I feel like one of those two is bound to go, but we'll see.
And they'll have a ton of opportunity after kind of getting that film this spring, not having 6 linemen. That helps so much. You see how many kids that left us and were like posting practice film? It's like that stuff is valuable. People joke about it, but that stuff is valuable.
Yeah, for sure. Omari Evans gave him some highlight tape last week.
Right now.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the wide receiver group with Denzel healthy too.
Right.
Amazing what a functional passing offense will do.
That's tough to the game got to play.
So Amari's a legit
in practice at Penn State, which is why he was a starter, and then you get into the games and it's a different type of vibe, right? I don't know what was going on, but I was sitting there talking to a couple people, and I was like, "Do you think it's like the scheme? Do you think it's the opportunity?" And they were like, "Yeah, we feel like we really felt like that. It was his situation more so than the ability." And I think it's something simple like his releases, and I mean it's also who he's going against. You know what I mean? I don't think I saw him matched up with Takario too much, so he was kind of on the other side. So it's he's giving other dudes run, so.
But then again, how many corners is he going to face on the other side of the ball in this conference that are better than Takario? and Aller has a ton of potential.
Agreed.
But Penn State's offensive bread is buttered with the running game. Period. End of story. Write the check. That's what they do. It's Nick Singleton and I'm blanking on the other guy. And then that's like, and even then, the receivers, and Katron Allen. And then when Penn State wanted to throw the ball last year, the receivers were not the primary targets. It was Tyler Warren. That is not Jed's offense. Tight ends get the ball in Jed's offense, but at best, unless they have an absolute freak, which they haven't had at that position yet, tight end is option 3, if not option 4, depending on what they have at the slot. Jed wants to give the ball to his outside guys and then mix in the slot and mix in the tight end. It's a much different situation from what James Franklin is doing at Penn State.
He's definitely making it look
really interesting
pretty
to see
easy, to be honest
what happens with Amari.
Yeah, I would lean towards it was the system. I mean, since I can remember watching Penn State as a kid, they've always been run heavy. So, I mean, you look through the years, the Curtis Enuses, the Larry Johnsons, you go on and on.
Curtis P. Enos.
The Kajana Carters, they just always been a run heavy team. I think there's been maybe a few seasons where they've been pass dominant, and that's when they had Derek Williams and Deion Butler, if you remember them. That's about it. So
that's
if you're a receiver, I don't know why you're going there.
I mean,
but I digress.
Joe Jurevich and Bobby Ingram. I mean, no disrespect to Bobby Ingram, but those are possession receivers. Those are not deep.
That's throwback.
Yeah, that's even more.
I mean, you mentioned Kajana Carter, so it's that's
Oh, we're not doing that.
Raise your hand if you were a teenager when Kajana Carter was playing.
I was a kid. Wasn't a teenager yet, but I was a kid. I definitely do remember watching them play.
To be fair, I don't think I was a teenager when he was at Penn State, but I was definitely a teenager when he was in Cincinnati.
Oh yeah.
This last little tidbit.
Yeah.
Takario, a lot bigger than I thought. A lot more skilled technically. Both. Like it's weird
taller
when you
or
put on paper
like
somebody's a 6'3.5" or 6'4" corner. You're almost like, okay, sure, because you don't really think about that often. Yeah.
And you're probably like, he's probably
like
6'2". I heard he's legit.
That's crazy.
Legit 6'3.5",
like
6'4".
his arm, it's all. Bro, I was gonna say
the length. What?
The lower length.
Hold on.
I was gonna be like, the length of his extremities.
That's the biggest pause of the episode yet.
Bro,
that's how I was about to go, which is why I stopped myself.
Dude,
like long legs, long arms.
I'm too late, bro.
Burst is what caught me off.
Chill, dude. Stop.
It's a wrap.
I tried, man. It's the extremity.
Oh man.
This is your last little tidbit that you wanted to bring up.
That's important. Those are key tidbits.
Doesn't sound that little.
Yeah, oh no. Oh.
That sounds like a lot of bits.
Yeah.
Right. We missed each other.
There's no pauses tonight. Yeah.
Bro, you need to have like
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
What do you mean by that?
We gotta have like a bloopers.
No, when I sit next to Takario, his length really stood out.
Bloopers.
God.
Have a what?
Have a blooper reel?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
This is the whole thing.
That's hilarious.
You mentioned Kenny. Kenny's not short.
Jesus.
Yeah, he definitely looks like running back. Dash, I don't know, bro.
Dude's built like
Dash
a tank.
Stash was quiet. Of course. I just mean like it
He was
wasn't
gonna be wearing a red
big
shirt.
play. You know, he just did his job,
2
which
years
is
ago.
Dash. That's what's up.
Was there a lot of
No,
punt game
they
when
were
you were there, or did they
practicing.
actually
You
open
know
the
what I
offense
mean?
up?
I couldn't tell when they would trigger, like when you could tackle or not. Sometimes they would be like, oh, kind of touch and go, and then the next play, this dude getting blown up. So you're like, wait, what? So they had somebody telling them like when it was full go or not. So you couldn't basically tell when it was going to be intense or not. But no, you couldn't take a lot. It was just practice, bro. It was just practice, which is why I said like it was the physical size of the people and how many people were there. Like those are the biggest takeaways. Like it was just me and you out there. It made me want to go out there and catch the ball. Like that's literally what it made me want to do. Throw and catch the ball with some of them. Like let me run a route. Oh, the coaching staff is hilarious, bro. Like the most energy. The John Richardson is a trip. He's funny guy.
Dude, hey, Hood, I want you to do an episode of your own pod of like all your thoughts coming through every practice. I want to listen to you just go on. Like this is great. I love it.
Just let him go, bro.
Like you just have these random thoughts. Like, oh yeah, like this happened, and then oh yeah, forgot about this. It's entertaining. I like it.
It's just going to be a bit of an editing task for me tomorrow.
No editing.
Leave all that.
Leave it in, bro.
That's what he said.
Stephon Diggs ass family feud answer.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing that. That's what she said. All right.
Oh man.
That's a wrap.
I think that's a wrap. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.